Hello, everybody. Um, welcome back. If you're still here, thank you for still being here. I know it's been a long time. I know I have lost quite a few subscribers and suddenly got quite a few subscribers back. So, welcome everyone that is new. It's lovely to have you here. This video is going to be rambly, not in order, and I am just the way I am. So take it as it is. It's not the best update, but I figured I just have to do this now, or else it will never get done. Easy as that. So, I'm gonna try and do life updates short. It's not the best. Life is not the best, but it's getting better. So, yeah, we're actually broke because we had a rat problem that we had to fix, and that cost a whole lot of money because we had to tear up our porch at the front of the house. And when we did that, we saw that the planks were pretty old, and we could have put them back down, but we knew that if we do that, it will be maybe 1 or 2, max 3 years, and we will have to rip it up and just build a new one. So plus getting the porch out, we had to destroy some planks because of the way it was built before we moved in. So either way, we had already bought a whole lot of new planks and stuff like that. So we figured, okay, we use from our savings account that we have saved up, and we just built all new, so it's totally new out there. And we still had a little bit to go on, so we figured we will be fine because we still have a little bit to go on. We just have to start being more careful about our spending. And then we went on a vacation, and we drove to the south of Norway. It's about 6-7, if you put in some stops, 8 hours drive. With a little kid, you have to stop a little bit on the way. And while we were there, our car broke down. Yes. And it's not long ago that it already did break down. And the worst part is, it's something in the motor of the car. I know what it is, I just don't know the English words. And it's basically 3 of the same thing in the motor. And first off, the first one went kaboom, and we had to replace it. It cost a whole lot of money. And this time it was the third one that just went kaboom. So we know that most likely it is not long before the second one is. And the worst part is, if it hadn't been because all of that electrical wiring, and that for some reason some of it is wired to the drive control, so when that mistake happened, our car would try to automatically stop us while driving. But the worst part is, because there is 3 of that thing in the motor, it actually shouldn't be a problem with just having 1 or 2. As long as not all 3 is gone, you could drive just fine. But since the wiring is connected in a way that is hopeless, it's a repair we have to do immediately. So, and since we was on vacation, we suddenly had to rent a car to get around, to get home. And then my husband had to travel all the way back a week later to get the car because the car shop just used a whole lot of time to get it done. So yeah, all our saving money. So that's fun. So we are on a very, 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 very strict budget. And that's not what I wanted now right before my birthday. My birthday is at the end of this month. It's Friday, the 16th of August. You might see this on Sunday, depending on when I get the time to edit. So we'll just go with it. Other than that, I am just trying something new because the friend that I had that decided she doesn't want to live anymore. One of her things was that she always dyed her hair crazy colors, like all the time. She had blue hair, she had purple hair, she had green hair, she had red hair, she went like platina blonde. I even think she had black hair once, and she is like really light in her skin, but she did it in a period where she had been a lot on vacation in the sun, and she had like a nice brown tan, so it didn't look bad at all. So that's the first thing I always think about her, is like crazy colors in the hair. And I have always wanted to have blue hair. But I never dared to try it. Once I was going to do it, but my hairdresser was like, oh, it will look so much prettier if we do purple. And I really didn't like purple because purple's not my color. Blue's my color. So, and then I saw Michelle Bendicici. Hey, Michelle. She did have something called, I think it was Overtoner. It's a conditioner with hair color that you put in your hair after you have washed it to condition your hair, and then it color your hair. And I was like, oh man, that would be so cool. So I went and looked. I couldn't really find something. And then we had this new store that you can buy these shampoo bottles and stuff like that in like really big bottles that saves you a lot of money, and it's hairdresser shampoo, so it's like the real stuff. I don't know if that's a problem in the US. It's in Norway. The only thing you really can get your hands on are the normal stuff you buy at the grocery store, and it's most of them aren't effective at all. But the hairdresser shampoos are really nice, but if you're buying those, you just get these teeny tiny balls that cost a fortune. So this store is really neat because you can get those shampoos in big quantums and quanta, and yeah, anyway, and so it's a lot cheaper. And when I went around there just looking, I suddenly found something called Color Bomb. And it's the exact same thing as Overtoner. So it's a conditioner with hair color, and this is blue. So I tried it today. You can already see that it's blue at the edges there. So, and my hair is still wet from when I was in the shower. So gradually the color is like popping forward when my hair dries. So that's nice. I only have taken the blue color like at the bottom because I wanted to test it before I do it to my whole hair. So maybe next time you see me, I will have very blue hair. Who knows? So that's fun. Okay, but you're not here to listen to my hair dyeing process, or I don't know, maybe you like it. So yeah, should we talk about whips? I said this would be messy. It will be long. It will be rambly. So I hope you just hang on. So let's go over to my stitching. Okay, last you saw me, I did just a whip update. Not whip update, I did a whip parade instead of an update. And I'm not going to try and track back, like finding those pieces that I didn't talk much about that I had stitched on, because I did it in a way to just draw a line and make it easier for myself, and then I made it harder for myself by not coming back here for 1.5 months. So July was not a good stitchy month. We traveled, my husband and son was home almost all of the time. If you hear a lot of noise, it's my neighbor. I'm going mad. They are going to sell their house and they're like hammering and doing stuff around the house all day at the daytime and at the nighttime. Not like just in the middle of the day, because then their kids are home, but that means all the time I have to myself to relax. It's hammering time. So yeah, it is what it is. So if you can hear that noise, I can hear it very well. So if it's distract me, I'm sorry. And if you hear it, it is what it is. I can't like control my neighbor. So July stitching month wasn't a good month at all. Visual aid, I'm learning from Kim Holmback, one of the admins in Full Coverage Fanatics. I love watching her videos. July, I had just barely over 12,000 stitches. That averaged out 395 stitches a day. That's not very much for me. That's the lowest month I have had so far this year. February, that was a really bad month, actually had 500 stitches more that month. It's not that much, but it's still, February had what, 2 or 3 less days, and I didn't stitch every day. Now I stitch every day because I have joined the 90 day of full coverage stitching with the Full Coverage Fanatics group. So that's also why my average is a little bit lower than usual, because now I stitch every day instead of maybe 25, 26 of 30 days. So yeah, it is what it is. And August has also started poorly. So far I have 5,159 stitches. And we're halfway in the month. So I hope it will increase going forward, because I really can feel it in my body. I'm not stitching enough. So, but there are some good stitching going on some projects. So let's jump in. I have a finish. No, it's not Lady and the Tiger. I already saw in June that it was my stitchy time started already then to be very limited because my husband was home. And I knew when my son get home, it will be even more limited. And it was. And I just knew I couldn't get Lady and the Tiger finished as I wanted for my birthday. That's impossible. And instead of pushing and trying to do it, maybe even being able to do it, but like losing out on so much time with my family when they are home, I just wanted to make the most out of it. But I did finish another full coverage piece, and it's SK Butterflies Galore. So she's finished, and I think she turned out really nice. She doesn't look that good close up because in all honesty, I don't think the shorting on this one was very well done by Haid from my previous patterns that I have. If I would redo this, I would definitely, some of the colors, I would definitely just, like there were there were 4 gray colors, I think, that is these white dots all over around the butterfly's wings and stuff. And they were always like 1 stitch here, 1 stitch there, 1 stitch here, and 1 stitch there. And since there were 3 or 4 different ones, there were never 2 of the same very close. So if I would have to redo this, I would just take all those and make into one. I don't think it will make much of a difference in the long run on this. And in total, I think maybe they make max 20 stitches in total on all 3 or 4 of those colors. So yeah. I don't think it was the best shorting job, but it turned out nice. It's a cropped version of the pattern. And if I was to redo it, I will also like just remove this hair. It's supposed to be a butterfly that's in her hair, but because of the crop, you only see like less than half of the butterfly, and it ends up just being a blob of color in her hair. You can't really see what it is. So if I was to redo, I would just use the hair color. That's mostly just one color, 939, and just do all of it in that color. So yeah, but she looks good. And I have to say, I did, at the end here, I did the diagonal method, the true diagonal, not the stairway diagonal. Maybe some will take offense that I say true diagonal, but it's just to differentiate between those diagonals, the way of stitching. So the true diagonals goes, you really go diagonally. For each row, if you start at the top left corner, as I do, you then go 10 stitches out, and on the next row, you only go 9 stitches out. So for each stitch, you're like going for each row, you go 1 stitch less, and then on the next row, you follow like, you have 10s a long way down until you get close to the bottom, and then you do. So it gets like really a diagonal. The stairway diagonal, you usually do like a 10 by 10 square hair, then a 10 by 10 square hair, then you do a 10 by 10 square hair, and then up here again, downwards diagonally doing 10 by 10 squares. So it looks like a stairway. And I have to say, with the diagonal method, and tent stitching the true diagonal, that's really nice. I really enjoyed stitching that way, and I'm glad because I have some patterns that I have to do diagonally because it's on 14 count. I want to do it on 14 count so it's not too big, and that way of stitching diagonally fits me perfectly. Trying to do full cross that diagonal way, there's something that is always bothering me, something I'm not quite happy with. So I actually like better to do the stairways diagonal method, where I concentrate on one row at a time in that 10 by 10 square. I don't jump around in the square. So there's a good reason actually there's a good chance that I might do more tent stitching. So the only thing I don't like is, and that's also why July had less stitches, is that I'm not faster stitching tent stitch or half stitch. So it's not much faster, and when I count the stitches, I get half the amount of stitches that I would do if it was full cross, because two half stitches is one full cross, and I only count full crosses. The same with back stitching and everything. When I count my stitches, I always make it up to be full crosses. So in a way, most likely, if you're counting 10 stitches, I would most likely have maybe 3,000 more stitches or something, but I don't. So that was my Escapable of Lace Galore, and when I finished that, I had to have a new piece for my 90 days challenge. So I will just go and look through my pile, because I literally just put everything in a big pile and it's a mess. So I'm gonna find it and be stuck. I decided that these 90 days challenges, since I some days only do 1-2 stitches, 10 stitches, I usually don't do a whole lot of stitches at once. It's nice for those very confetti heavy pieces like this at the bottom here, were just confetti all the way, or those pieces that I like but I struggle to take out and start stitching on. So the next one that I really want to finish is The Lion King by Disney Dreams Collection. I was so lucky that Julie from Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World gifted this to me, and I'm making it for my son. So this is what it will look like. I will insert a picture of where I was the last time you saw it. Here it is now. So we have a tail, and actually there is a color in here that is a blend that I managed to pick out the wrong color, so you probably can tell this light blue here that looks like it doesn't fit. It doesn't. One of the colors is correct, but there is like a pink color in it, and it's supposed to be like an orange color, so it's really off color wise. But I'm doing this for a challenge, so I just need to finish that stitching, and then I will rip out and re-stitch everything in here. It's actually a lot of work to do. So, but here where it is, I'm done with this tree coming down right here. Lately I have just been doing 1 or 2 stitches down here in the yellow underneath the tail, and then there will be then I will come down to where the foot is, And I'm not going to do the foot because I like to work from top down. So then I will most likely come up, do a lot here in the sky, and then work on Simba. Yeah, I think that's Simba and not Mufasa. It looks like Simba. And the lioness has a blue eye, and Nala has blue eyes, and that haven't Sarabi has not, and Sarabi is Simba's mother, so this has to be Simba and Nala with Kiara at the top. So yeah, just gradually stitching. I have done most of the back stitching at the sky. There was a lot of birds and stuff backstitch, and started doing backstitching in the 3 right here. So there's more to do, so that I am also going to do this, because I'm trying to backstitch as I go, like sections of it, so it's not that much at the end. There is also 2 different colors of backstitching, so I will most likely backstitch the tail because that is another color than the rest of Simba. So that was my Lion King. Because of the Headmistress challenge that we got in July, I am actually counting stitches for each project individually. Let's see if you can see this. So I just list all my projects in chronological order because it's copy pasted from my whip list that is on another page of the Google Sheets. So I'm marked this column with a different color because here's where I put in my stitches, and here is the total overall in the Headmistress for this for that project, and then I can keep track of how much I stitch each month. The Lion King is a little bit different since I stitch on it every day. I have our own sticky note that I write down everything that I have, but I think I have already passed 1,200 stitches on that this month, so that's good. And there's a little bit more since it's on the sticky note, and when that sticky note is filled out, I just put in the numbers and start a new sticky note, basically. So, okay, over to all my other whips I have stitched on. It's a lot. Like seriously, it's a lot, because this month semi-science stitchers have a challenge that goes both domino effect and crazy whips. And what you basically do is, if you're doing both, I have chosen level 3 domino effect, which start on 100 stitches, and for each time I change whips, I increase 100 stitches. So for the first whip, I did 100 stitches. For the second whip, I did 200 stitches. For the third whip, 300 stitches, and so on. So you get through a lot of your project. There is like, and the crazy whip, you have to link them in different ways. I'm not going to go into that, but if you're interested, like, search me up on semi-science stitchers, and I'm sure you can be able to find it. So yeah, that means I am now on my 9th whip. So just there you have 9 different whips, and I have worked on other whips because this is just what I have done in August. I also have July to show you. So I'm pretty sure almost half of my whips are right here in a big pile. So I can start with this one. This is my Lady and the Tiger by Luca S. I totally forgot to show the cover picture of what it will look like, so I will be right back. Alright, I'm back. So this is what it's going to look like in the end. I'm currently working down here on page 7. Then I have page 8 and 9 to do. Those are partial pages, that is equivalent of a full Hade page. Actually, 2 of them are bigger than a Hade page still, I think. So yeah, it has real big pages. So I have finished this 3 pages at the top, at the middle, and I'm at the bottom. And here I am now. So this is what it looks like. I can't see a thing. I hope you do. So this is the page I'm working on, and you can see it's a lot of skin color. It's a lot of this color right here, and it's the hashtag symbol. So I'm doing a lot of hashtag symbols on this, and I don't know, usually colors don't get to me, and I like big blocks of colors, but yeah, I don't know. For some reason, this color started to bother me, and I had trouble picking it up and enjoy stitching on it. And I think also because it's the lady, it's a little bit harder to work on, because what I really love is working on the tiger. But I need to save him to the end, so I have like something fun to do at the end also. So my Lady and the Tiger. There is where that is, and I think I only did a little, I did 4,000 stitches, something like that on her. I was originally thinking doing 8,000 stitches a month, because then I would have her done now in August, at the end of August for my birthday, but that didn't happen, and it was just not possible, so it is what it is. And then we have a new whip that I have put on some scroll frames. It's my Alice in Wonderland series. I'm doing my Brooke books. I'm doing all of them on one big piece, and I'm currently on the Dormouse. He's going to be one of the center characters. And here's where I was the last time you saw it. And here it is now. So I have finished the checkerboard for the Dormouse and started going further out. I'm actually almost done with the march here. I think that I will have on this side of the Dormouse. Finished this cake, finished this cake, started on this cake. So yeah, I'm actually getting close to an end on this, so that's nice. This cake was so annoying to stitch, because I like to stitch I don't like this. I'm working from the bottom to the top, so I just do my stitches the opposite way of how I normally do them. So instead of going from bottom left to top right and then bottom right to top left, I am doing top right to bottom left, then top left to bottom right. So just like turn it around the opposite way when I work upwards. And I don't like to have stitches. When I work this way, I don't like to have stitches underneath. I don't like to have stitches over what I'm supposed to stitch. So when I come up a hole, there is never stitches there. It's always like just max one or two stitches that had been done in that hole. Or it's totally free, so I don't like to box in stitches at all. So this one with this checkerboardish cake was really fiddly to stitch, but it's looking good, so that's nice. I haven't done back stitching on this cake yet, so that's something I'm going to do. And I think there is a candle light on this cake also. So there's where I am with that one. And then the last one I have on scroll bars to show you, it's my temperature garden by Stitching Mommy. I will insert a picture of what it will look like, and where you saw it last time, you saw it here. And here it is now. So I had already these two finished, and I think I also was finished with May. So I finished up June and almost finished up July and almost gotten caught up on August. It's actually almost finished. I only have a few flower left to backstitch, and all the backstitching is done. And as you can see, when I do a color, I do that color until I run out of that color, and then go back and do like the next color I will do is one color from this flower right here. So I finish up this flower. But then if this color is just one of them right here, and then further down there's more, I will jump ahead and do those before coming back and do the second color in the flower, and so on. So it's starting to look good. It's getting close to a finish. So I have done a total of 898 stitches on this, both in July and August. So give it maybe some, and that haven't been that much days. I've stitched I've stitched 4 days in total on my temperature garden. So I definitely, if I just manage to sit down and just work on that for a few days, it will be done. And I really want to get that done this year, since it's the temperature for 2018. So, yeah. Next up, I have 2 new starts. Small starts because of Magical Stitches made me do it, or Vicky made me do it. So first off, I wanted to... Sorry, I'm gonna pack. For a long time ago, I ordered some small hoops from Dandelion that you can like make jewelry of. So you can make this into a necklace. And what I was thinking, I found this red rose, and I thought that will be perfect with red metallics instead. And stitching that rose and gonna finish it in the hoop as a necklace, most likely. So yeah, this is just a rose from a magazine. It's a rose, one of those how to stitch small they have at the end of the magazines. So I'm not sure what magazine it was. I can't find out, so ask me and I can find out for you if you really want to know. So yeah, that's actually picking up all the shimmer in there. So I'm just missing 1 or 2 more leaves, backstitching, and this is done. So that's just a teeny tiny one. And then I was still missing some stitches for magical stitches because I needed 200 in metallics and I had 110 when all of the red on the rose was finished. So I started one of my dragons. If you remember, I have already done a pink, a blue, and a green dragon that I made into coasters. And now I am doing a red dragon, and it's going to be a sparkly red dragon, and it's also going to be turned into a coaster because I am converting. It was originally a pink dragon. He's called Snuffle, and it's a Fuzzy Fox design. You can find her on Etsy. And I'm converting that dragon into all the different colors of the rainbow. And I'm going to stitch him in all the different colors. So then I used him for red. So it's just 2 small, 2 very small projects. But I actually have rearranged my plans. I've talked about it with a lot of people, but I haven't talked about it here on my Flosstube, so we'll get to that. So next up is Tinkerbell from Creatively Crafting. A lot of people were lucky and got into her sale for free. I'm not one of those people, so I had to buy my way in. But I bought my way in and I'm getting the patterns. And what's nice is that my spam filter somehow just picked one of those patterns and put it in my spam file. So I didn't get the notification that I needed to go and download Arial and stuff like that. So suddenly I realized I'm missing one. And if you are just the free version of the Disney sale, then you have lost that basically, because it's free for a month and then you have to buy it. Or you can get like a membership thing she has and you can get it from there. But anyway, since I already have paid, I contacted her and she immediately sent it to me because of course, since I have paid, I have the right to get them. So that's good. And we just got Sally. I am so stoked about that. Jack and Sally is 2 of the ones I really, really love and want to do. I already think I'm going to do them on one piece of fabric and just have them together, just those 2 by themselves. So, but that means I need to get working on my Disney sal and finish off the ones I have started, and it's Tinkerbell. So I will insert a picture of what she will look like here and where she was the last time. And here I am now. So I have tried a lot of different things stitching Tinkerbell, and I think I have found a way that suits me. So what I'm going to do, I do parking, as you see. I love parking. I don't like cross country because then I box in stitches. I don't like that. And I like to always, if I stitch from the top down, I never like to have stitches underneath stitches I am going to do, because my stitches just look neater when I do it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this part of the stained glass is going down into a triangle, and there's one more at this side. So I'm going to do those first and then do this middle part, and I'm just going to work it part by part and part in those sections. And I'm also doing it diagonally in those sections. So yeah, because I started trying to do this the stairway diagonal. It works, but it's not that good, and yeah, so just another example that some patterns you just need to change up the way you part to find something that fits you, and that's what I have done. So that's my Tinkerbell. I'm glad she has gotten some love. I think I have done about 500-600 stitches on her since the last time you saw her. And now that I have found a way that I actually like to stitch her, there is a big chance I will be better at getting her out and actually stitch on her. So yeah, that's Tinkerbell. Well, next up, I am going to show you being inspired by Stitchrovia or Emma Congdon. It's you can both buy it from her Etsy store, I think. I have the magazine digitally, so I just, there's where I have mine. So I will insert the picture of what it will look like and where it was the last time you saw it. And here I am now. So there's been put in a little bit over 1,000 stitches on this. And this is one of the few patterns that I am deviating from the way I usually like to stitch. Because here you can see I'm actually outlining everything in black and then filling in. When normally I don't like to box in my stitches, but I do here. So needed 1,000 stitches in black for homework, so I used this one to get those 1,000 stitches in. So it's starting to look good. This hand is converted by me. The inspiration to convert it is from Michelle Bendy, but I'm using some different colors than she did, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I actually also converted this hand and the colors in this hand because I didn't like how it looked stitched up on this fabric. So this fabric is hand dyed by me. It's a 14 count Aida. So there's no real back stitching or fractional in this, so then I usually go for Aida. So yeah, I always like to have some Aida project in my stash because they're just easier to work on, and I know they are usually whips that don't have a lot of back stitching and don't have a lot of fractionals and don't have a lot of blended colors and so on. So it's really nice to have to pick up and work on when I don't have brain capacity to do much else, basically. So next up is my Storytime sampler by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I will insert a picture of what it will look like and where it was the last time you saw it here. And here I am now, and this has also gotten a real lot of work in it. I think you already did see a lot of what I have done in my whip parade, but it's because in just 2 or 3 months, I have done over 2,000 stitches on this. So I am totally finished with this Alice section. Peter Pan I had finished from before. Gotten a lot of work into the secret garden. I'm almost done with this whole banner. Started the border on Sherlock Holmes. Almost done with I can't remember what this is called right now. I know what it is, I just totally forgot. And my husband, he was actually interested in this piece when I was stitching, and he was like, oh, he was like looking at the pattern and what all are the different stories, because some of them aren't that usual here in Norway as they are in the US. So he of course knew Alice and Peter Pan because I love Disney. He automatically figured out Sherlock Holmes, mostly because I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan also. And he managed to do the Christmas one. I struggle with the name sometimes because I know the Norwegian name, but I have trouble remembering the English name because that is also one we have in Norwegian. A Christmas story? Is that a Christmas carol? A Christmas story? Yeah, something like that, I think. Charlotte's Web is this one. And then he couldn't figure out this one, and I was like, oh, somebody told me that's Lady of Charlotte. And he was like, what story is that? And I have no clue. I was going to convert this to Rapunzel. And he like searched it up, and it's actually a poem or something, and we did read it, and we did read like stories around it, and it's a Arthurian tale. And I'm like, I love everything that has to do with Arthur and Arthurian tales. So I was like, okay, she's going in. So I'm actually not going to convert this after all. So yeah. Sometimes it's nice to do a little bit of research. So yeah, that's nice. So I also think that was one of the reasons I really got my interest in picking this up and stitching this again, because now that I know there's not so much work about it, and I have gotten my way to the top, so I can work my top down now, and yeah, it's just the way I like to stitch top down. So yeah, that's definitely something I am going to do with all my patterns, I think, especially the ones I struggle to pull out and stitch on. Like my Mirabilias, I thought that I wanted to start in the middle, so I have like the face and stuff to do last. But the problem is I don't like to work that way. I like to either start at the top and work my way down, or with the Alice series, I decided, since the connection between the character is the bottom checkerboard and grass and all down there, I am actually working it just the opposite way, downward from the bottom to the top. And that works just fine. There's no problem for me to do that at all. So either work from the bottom to the top or the opposite way. But I do prefer working from the top down. I do. So I need to change up the way I stitch a lot of those Mirabilias, so I get my interest back in stitching them, because I love them. I love how them look. I actually love stitching on them when I stitch on them. I just don't like thinking about stitching on them because I need to stitch in a way I don't like, and that makes it so I don't pull it out. And then next up is my Fairy Tale Land 2 by Soda Stitch. It's going to look like this when it's finished. And here I am now. I most likely have edited all the before pictures in, even though I don't say it. So yeah, just a tiny bit more. I think I needed some pink stitches, so I did some pink stitches. Finished off the pink in the dress and these roses right here. And each time I look at this, I really want to get back to it because I love stitching on it so much. I'm so glad that I'm doing the skin 1/1 because I know a lot of people don't like 1/1 skin and stitch, but I actually do love it. I love how it looks. I love how it turns out. It's so worth my time. And it's like big blocks of colors when I stitch it, so it's especially on this one where there's so many small details all over. It's nice to have some big blocks of colors you can do. So I'm really glad I'm doing the skin 1/1, and I know that if I kit anything up, or I have kitted something up that have like a human on it, so you can see skin, I will most likely change it over to an even weave or linen if I haven't already done that, if it's on an Aida, just so I can do the skin 1/1 because I do love how it looks. Then SK Butterflies Galore went out of this project bag, and that means something got bumped up in the queue, and it's my epic storybook princesses. I will insert a picture here. It's by Cloud's Factory, and here's where I'm at right now. So I just worked some more on border right here, and I'm actually working my way to this top left corner. So yeah, I have converted all the colors in the border, and that is part of the border, to be Silks for You silk. So some of them I know the name of, some of them I don't, and some of them is from like my monthly subscription I had with them, so you can't really get the color unless you ask Joe to dye that color for you, because you can go on her, she has now an online store, silks, the number 4 and then a u.net, I think, and you can custom order silk, but then you like custom order a hank so you get a whole lot of that color. But you can actually do that if there is a color you see that I show you, she most likely can easily do that color for you. I haven't used that myself because I like her range of colors, and I have bought like a lot of those grab bags and stuff she has, so I have a lot of her colors. I also have actually subscribed to her color of the month. So each month I get 4 skeins of silk that is like small, it's like a skein of silk that is from her range of hanks that you can buy. So that's nice. Okay, next up is my Haunted Mansion Sal by Tiny Modernist. It's a sal that I love, and I always try to not work too much on because I know that Magical Stitches is gonna make it so I need this piece to work on because it fits everything in School of Magical Stitches. I actually managed to fit this whip, if I wanted, into all 10 of the owls that we needed to do. Ordinary wizarding level, I think that's what it stands for. It's like the exam you take at Hogwarts. And yeah, I only needed 800 stitches because this was my 8th whip for the domino effect. So I only used four of them for Haunted Mansion cell, but you can do 10 of them for Haunted Mansion. And then the elective ones, you would need to do Muggle Studies, Divination, and there's one more that I'm totally blanking out on. But so here it is. Here's what it looks like now. So I have worked my way down this 3, finish off the owl. It's actually, here is the trunk of the 3, so it's not much left. I actually love doing these. I know a lot of people hate them, but I loved working on these. I finished this section right here, and you might think, well, you're boxing in stitches. Actually, no, I'm not, because there is a whole lot of like different stuff going on. You can see this isn't connected to anything else. Same with this mirror, so I can easily like work this from the top down or bottom top. So the vampire that is going to be here, I'm actually going to work him from the bottom to the top. So, like I did with the fireplace. So, I actually haven't boxed in anything. Amazingly enough. So, and the moon is a conversion by me. So I did myself. So these red colors, I am going to try and get some of them in the bookcase that is going to be down here, and maybe in one of the potions in Frankenstein's room with his monster and so on. So that's my Haunted Mansion. There is still a lot of way to go on this, but I think I have like the big section of blocks of color, like this top part, it's so densely stitched. I think I have most of the stitching actually done, because the rooms are pretty, it's not that full of stuff, so there's still a good amount of things to stitch, but I don't think it will take me that long if I just sit down and do it. But as I said, I really don't like to do it because I like to save it for my magical stitches homework. Because if nothing else fits, I can always fit that one. That has saved me when it was stitch on gravestone or a grave, ghost. I think I used that for spider also, because there is a spider in there, and yeah, just a bunch of stuff I don't find anywhere else. Next up is Fantasy World by Heaven and Earth Design. The artwork is by Elena Lazareva. I most likely butchered that name. I will insert pictures here. And here I am now. So, got a decent amount of progress done. And as you can see, I'm starting to convert this into diagonal stitching. So, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how I want to stitch this. But I think I'm closing into something that is nice to do. So there's not much left, there's not much done on that, so, and there's not much to see because I'm in sky, but it will look amazing when I'm getting further down. So yeah, you can see this month I have stitched on a whole lot of full coverage project that is not My Lady and the Tiger. Next up is my Cinderella by Mirabilia. Stacy from Atlantica Dream Stitches was so kind to borrow this to me, and I'm actually was allowed to use the whole kit. So that's super nice. And I will insert pictures. And here it is now. So I actually gotten the top of the frame done. I'm working my way down this side now also. So yeah, it's starting to look really good. And I just, again, sometimes I get some weird ideas that I want to like save this border for when I want to just do block stitching, and that again stop me from wanting to stitch on this because I like to stitch from the top down. So yeah, much more happy with this now, and going to work my way down. So my thinking is, if I get the itch to like stitch a lot of border and I don't have any border to stitch, then I will start on the second time I'm stitching this one, because my plan is still to stitch this twice, so it's one for me and one for Stacy, since she was so kind to borrow this for me. So yeah, basically just need to stitch more. I lied, I have actually 2 more whips, so there were 4 more whips when I said there was only 3 more whips. This is Santa's Secret by Dimensions Gold Collection Petites. It's going to look like that. I will insert a picture where you saw it last time. Here it is now. So work more on his hat. So yeah, this is actually really fun to work on when I just sit down and do it. It's just one of those I don't take the time to actually stitch on. Like with Tinkerbell, I really love working on her now, but I don't take the time to work on her because she's full coverage and there's other full coverage I want to get done before her. So, and last up, we have my baby blanket, and I actually have done a lot of stitching on this. In July, I did 1,442 stitches, and that is only counting from July the 9th until July the 31st. And this month I have done over, I think I am at 600 and something stitches, 637. So there's over 2,000 stitches I have done on this. And if I did work on this before the 9th, and I had one day I worked on it before the 9th of July, there's actually more stitches. Because the Headmistress Challenge didn't start before July 9th. So all my counting of stitches on the different whips goes from there and until now. So I'm actually going to have to pull back, and I will insert picture where it is now. I have actually focused on the top section and a little bit in the hat. I finished the star, finish a swirly on the border, and did some stitching down at the bottom border. So the reason why is because I use this for bingo, because this is also a whip where I just stitch. I actually like the box in stitches on this one because it's easier to stitch. So yeah, that border is starting to look so good. I'm only missing backstitching on it, and then the top section of the border will be done. I also had some stitches in this ribbon, but I had to rip them out because I used the wrong color. Because two of this aqua color, these two colors right here, yes, there's two different colors there. I had somehow mixed up the darker one with the lighter one. So I thought I had the darker one I stitched with, and it wasn't. I thought I had the lighter one, but it was the darker one. So I did the stitches for the lighter one in this ribbon, and it was the darker one, so I had to rip it out, basically. So yeah, and I did figure that out when I did this bunny right here. So yeah, I think it looks really good, and as I said, I used this for bingo, plus I had to use it for a homework with magical stitches. And if you can see at the bottom border there, I have done like a yellow border that goes right here, all over. So yeah, what do you think? Does it look good? Oh, I did feel that in my neck. I have had some neck problems, so that one wasn't good for my neck, but it was the only way to show you the whole thing. So yeah, that is what I have worked on. I think it's everything. I hope it's everything. So yeah, let's go over to plans, or my change of plans. So, I actually have a little change in my plans. I don't think I'm going to do much of No Starts 2019 anymore. Instead, I'm going to do something I think will fit me better, and the way I stitch and the way I like to stitch, and the fact that sometimes I really want just to focus on stitching what I have, and sometimes I want to start something new once in a while. But the thing is, Anne P, a while back, in beginning of July, she talked about the fact that she is a progress stitcher and not a process or product stitcher. And that's also very true for me. I'm not a product stitcher. I stitch whips that I have no plans for, and there is no plan that I'm actually going to FFO it. I just stitch it because I want to stitch it. I like how it looks. I love to just sit and stitch on it. And then you're like, well, aren't you a process stitcher then? And I'm like, no, I'm not actually. A little bit yes, in the fact that I do enjoy the process of stitching. But what really motivates me and what really draws me to a project that I'm doing is the progress. If I start a whip and I get good progress in on that when I started, I am much more likely to pull it back out again and stitch more. And I have seen this through all this year. It has been so easy to see, because this year Magical School of Stitches has forced me to stitch on whips that I for some reason just put down and didn't stitch on, and I couldn't understand why, because I loved how it looked. I actually loved stitching on it when I stitched on it, but the problem was I didn't get much progress in on it. In the beginning of 2018, if you remember, if you have been here that long, I started a whole bunch of things in a short period of time because I was going to have that for my year of whips. And that's the stupidest thing I have ever done. That's not me at all. Because that made it so I had a lot of whips with just a few stitches here and a few stitches there. And when I came back to that, I didn't want to pick it up. I didn't like it at all. So some of those I went back to and actually finished. One of them was The Belle by Frigid Stitch, and the Rapunzel I Got a Dream by Frigid Stitch that I did stitch because I decided I wanted to do them in all silks instead. So I ripped out everything I had and basically started it over again. And that time I had actually put off 5 days to work on it. So I got a lot of good progress in, and it made it so I really loved stitching on it. Yes, it was also silk, that helps. But that's the main thing. I like the Storytime sampler. Didn't have much progress on it. Started the wrong way of stitching how I like, and those put together just makes me not stitch on things. So my thinking going forward is that I can't get through all my whips in a month, and I don't want to go through all my whips in a month. I actually like to have some variety from month to month in what I pick out and stitch, and have some that I constantly work on, just to change things up a little. That may change tomorrow, who knows, because my plans are always written in pencil so I can erase it. And the one time I didn't do that, I regret it ever writing it down. Just saying. But the thing is, I was thinking, Kim, as I mentioned before, she was also talking about the same thing and how she wanted to do stuff. And it really got me thinking. And this was right after I did my whip parade. Not joking. And that made me think. And I usually think the best when I talk with other people. And so Adele is one of those. She is an amazing friend. And since she lives in the UK, it's so easy for me to talk to her because I know she's always awake when I am awake. So that's nice. And she always, even though I have really bad days, she always makes me smile and laugh. And so it's like having a good day, having a bad day, I always want to talk to Adele, basically. So I talked to Adele about what I was thinking and what I think I want to do, because it was like, oh, Adele is really going to like this, because I am just not doing No Start 2019 anymore. And I don't feel bad about it because I said 6 months and I have managed those 6 months, and it's not like I have started anything big yet, so technically it's still going on. But I'm not having that over me that is something I have to do and can't start thing and just stuff like that. But my thinking is that my amount of whips shouldn't be decided by a number. So it's silly to have like, oh, I'm not going to go over 30 whips, because what if because we have a tendency to like use numbers that are round, like 20 and 25, numbers like that. Especially if you're like me and you are one that really enjoy numbers and work with numbers. I have noticed that I have a tendency to always, if I'm going to do like, oh, I'm going to set a limit of how many whips I want, I'm always thinking like, okay, 10, 15, 20. And it's like, well, what if the amount of whips that I have should be 11? What if that's the sweet spot for me? Or 13? Or 14? Like, and also I'm thinking that the amount of whips I have, and it's perfect for me, isn't constant. It's not a number. It's not something I can put a number on and say this is the amount of whips I want to have, because that's never correct. Sometimes then I will do an extra whip before I have finished one, and maybe I will finish one and take some time before I get one, start a new whip. So that number will always be a variable. It's never just one number. So, and with the whole thing of being a progress stitcher and not a process stitcher got me thinking. And it got me thinking that I usually like to review what I have gotten done when it has gotten half a year. That's why I did a whip parade after 6 months. I did it at the end of June, beginning of July. And that's a nice way to use this for how I want to manage my whips. So my thinking is that if I can get through all my whips in a 6-month period and still get a whole, like, still get a decent amount of progress on each one, not like just 100 stitches here and 100 stitches there. And 100 stitches can be a lot if it's a small one like this, but it's not much if it's a full coverage like Fantasy World. So it's not decided by a number there either. It's not like, oh, if it's a full coverage, I have to do a page or half a page. No, it's just something that I feel is good progress. Something when I look at it and I think, wow, I got a lot done. So maybe for some of my bigger projects, maybe that is 2 pages, because like with my Fantasy World, I did a lot of stitching, but it's just background. I don't see much. There's not much progress going on. While my Tinkerbell, I can see that one part of the stained glass is almost done. So when I have finished that, I will feel that is a good amount of progress. It's not a whole lot of amount of progress, but it's a good amount of progress. You see a little bit where I'm going here. I said this is rambly, and yeah. So it's a long one. So my thinking is that if I can get through all my whips and get a good amount of progress on all of them, then there's no problem for me starting another whip. And sometimes that amount of whips might be 50 whips, and sometimes that might be 30 whips. And what I'm going to do is just do a review. Like I have done, I'm going to do a whip parade each half year so you can see progress. So you have one in the beginning of the year and one in the middle of the year. And I'm basically going to review it. And like this time when I had, was it 3 or 4 whips that I didn't stitch on at all, but 2 of them I did put in a break, so I'm not going to stitch on them. So that means I have like 2 whips I need to work on, something like that, 2 or 3. That's that's not a high number, especially if you look at the amount of whips that I actually worked a whole lot on. Yes, not all of them did get like super amount of progress, but for my fantasy world, when I did that top section of the page, I did feel that was good progress. So even though what I have done this time for this half of the year isn't good amount of progress, I managed to do it the first half of the year. So that's also a little bit of my thinking. I'm going to try more and get through all the whips that I actually have, because some of them are just have been put away for a long time now. Some of them are going over a year, and that's a lot for me. And if I haven't touched them in a year, then I can't add any more whips. That's my thinking. And I know some of them, the reason I haven't worked on them, I think there's one left, and that Esmeralda, is because I have started to stitch on it in the wrong direction again. So I started at the side in the middle. It's not totally bad because it's at the edge of the pattern and not right in the middle. I really dislike right in the middle stitching. But I need to take that out a period in my life where my head is put on straight that day. So I either can count my way up to the top and stitch my way down, because I don't want to rip out what I have done, because there is a lot of stitching done. She got some good progress. Or be able to work my way up to the top and then work my way down. Just follow the edge of the pattern up and work my way top down. So, but I know she has a lot of quarter stitches and stuff like that, so I really need to be focused and be able to do that kind of stitching. And I haven't been able to do that in July and August because there's been so much going on and my family has been home around me all the time. This is actually the second day where they're both out of the house and I can have some me time again. So that's nice. So yeah, that's my plans. And look out in the future. I know I have promised this a long time. There is coming a giveaway. I am very, very sorry I haven't been able to get everything together to actually do it. I was thinking of doing a smaller video with just telling you about this new plan of mine, since I decided it in beginning of July, right after my whip update. But there hasn't been time. There has been so much going on, and I'm really fighting a big depression that wants to take over my life right now. I know the signs and I feel them, and I know myself so well when it comes to mentally, that I need to focus on that and let everything else just be. So, and focus on my family and the good things I have in life, and not too much on what I need to stitch and I need to complete these challenges. And so right now I'm like, I get really annoyed just about small things, like on magical stitches. One of the prefects said, oh, you need to do it this way, and some other prefects said you need to do it this way, and the message I got was a lot more difficult way of doing the challenge. And it's just I just got irritated about a small stuff. It's not bad. I just did it the way that it's the safest way to do it. Normally, there's a big chance I would have done it that way. But now, because I'm already like struggling with stuff, it just bothers me basically. So, yeah. Sorry if you are the prefect that did feel bad about what you said. It's actually not that. It was a good thing that you tried to make sure everybody got their points, basically. So yeah, that's my whip update, my plans, and future stitching. I haven't I haven't stitched on my Lady and the Tiger yet. The 1200 stitches by the numbers for August I did on my Lion King, and I'm going to do the 2400 stitches on my Lady and the Tiger. So she will be pulled out. The thing is, with this domino effect, I know that I want to do her last because I know I'm going to do over 2000 stitches on her. So my thinking is I will pull her out the last week of August. I know the 31st is Saturday, I think, because that's my birthday. Yes, it's Saturday. And so the Monday before that Sunday, I haven't the brain to calculate what day it is. I'm most likely going to pull my Lady and the Tiger out, and then I have 6 days to stitch on her, including my birthday. So those 2400 stitches will be knocked out, no problem. And wherever I am in my domino effect, I originally thought that I wanted to do 20 whips, so the last whip will be 2000 stitches. But that's a whole lot of stitching. I don't think I will be able to get that far. I'm halfway in the month and I haven't reached 10 whips, and that's not halfway because it's increase 100 stitches for each whip. So I will just work my way up and see, and when the day comes to pull my Lady and Tiger out, I will. And then I most likely will continue into September if I haven't gotten my fabric and package with my Cathedral Woodland Goddess, because me and Adele is doing a sale where we're going to stitch her. And if I get everything on time, I'm going to stitch her the 1st of September. And again, I'm gonna learn from my experience so far doing Flosstube with so many whips. And I'm going to start her at the top and work my way down, and I'm going to give her at least minimum of 3 or 4 days. I might even give her more, because of Magical Stitches sometimes tries to ruin my stitchy life and what I want to do. And yeah, stitch on her and get good progress done, so I'm more prone to wanting to pick her up and start stitching more on her again. So I think that's my plans. So look out for future videos. I am also thinking that one of the things I'm really missing on Flosstube, it's more Stitch With Me's where people are stitching close up. Like, I know there is a lot of Stitch With Me's going on, but a lot of them is far away, so you can't really see. You see people moving their hands and moving the needle, but you can't really see the stitch being stitched. And I love those videos. I know Nikki Crafts and Love Stitching, I think. They do some close-up of their full coverage when they stitch. It's without sound, just ambient effect. That doesn't bother me. If I don't like the ambient sound, I just turn it off and watch people stitching. And Karen the Needlebug, she does it diagonally and stitch on the diagonal, and I love watching those videos where you can see one stitch at a time take place. Especially if, like now, I struggle with my neck, so I can't stitch that long before it starts to hurt, and I can't watch TV before it starts to hurt, and I need to lay down. And when I then lay down, it's really nice to I take my iPad with me to the bed, and I lay on the side a way that my neck isn't hurting, and I watch Flosstube. But I'm not really when I'm hurting that much, I'm not really wanting to listen to people talk. At least not all people. There are a few people that I'm like still watch even though I hurt, but not all. They need to be one kind of personality and way of doing things. And the other ones I need to watch when I'm in a better mood. It's not that I don't like them, it's just what I like, basically. And when I'm in a really bad mood and hurting and stuff like that, I get really like, I just want to watch this, nothing else. And depending on my mood, it's depending on what it is. So watching Stitch with Me's that are close up and just without sound, I really love watching those, and I have watched everything that I can find, and still I don't feel there's enough of that on Flosstube. So my thinking is that I might go back to just filming an update once a month, maybe every other week, maybe I even will do once a week, who knows. And I of course have my A to Z Stitch with Me's that you will see each week, as long as I can keep up with stitching on it. And but I am planning to maybe do some Stitch with Me's that are close up, full coverage project, some on the diagonal, some not on the diagonal, just me stitching. It might not even be a full coverage each time. And just like, if I think I'm not the only one wanting more of those kinds of videos out there. So I'm thinking, well, if I don't feel there is enough and I'm a Flosstuber, then I should do something about it. So I'm most likely going forward and going to film more close-up Stitch with Me's, and there is a big chance they will be without sound, just me stitching, because that demands less of me when stitching. Because if I have a bad day, I usually don't like to talk to people. Sorry. You can come and sit and watch me stitch, but don't force me to talk to you. So that's me. Thank you so much. If you're still here, you're amazing. I know this is a long one. I hope you have enjoyed. So now you know the future plans of my stitching and of my Flosstube channel. And I hope it's something you like and want to stick around. If you're worried about like there will be a lot of videos coming from me that it will almost feel like I'm spamming videos out, let me know, because if it is a very, very big problem, I can try and look into making a second Flosstube channel that is just for Stitch with Me's. But I rather not, because that just it will just take extra time to do. So now you know that. So I will see you later. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and coming back here to watch me. Just thank you for watching me, and I will most likely see you